Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to continue our studies. This time we're dealing with inequalities, which is called the next step. So from our previous lesson, we dealt with an equation, which we graphed and solved. Then we went to two-step inequalities, and we graphed those and solved them. And now, if you have any questions, please review the video or write them down and bring them in the class, and we can go over it during callback or sometime. But I want to take it to the next level. I want you to notice the variable and the coefficient, negative 5w plus 8 equals 13. So when we solve this equation, so let's solve it, negative 8 on both sides, so we minus 8 from both sides, so minus 8. So our 8's are going to cancel out on the left side, leaving us with the negative 5w on the left side, equaling to 13 minus 8 is 5. So now we have to solve for w. So we would divide both sides by negative 5, and that's the important point we want to talk about today. So we're going to divide by negative 5. So our negative 5's cancel out, leaving us with just the w on this side, and it's equal to, and it's equal to negative 1. So w is equal to negative 1. And you remember, in the last video we said if you have an equal sign, you have to use the dot. So you would put a circle right on top of negative 1, which is colored in. So remember, if you have a line, you have color, no line, no color. So that's an equation when you graph it. And I want you to notice the variable was negative with the coefficient, and it ended up being positive. It was the opposite. And I want you to notice the opposite side. On the right side, we started off with a positive number, and we ended up with its opposite. So we still did everything to balance out, but let's see how that affects the expression when the same expression when I put a greater than sign there. Well, we know already that the answer is w would be greater than negative 1, because we just did the same problem a second ago. So let's do a little filling in this time. Negative 5 times a number plus 8. And let's see, is that really true? Is it greater than 13? Let's try some numbers. So let's see, a number greater than negative 1. How about 0? 0 is greater than negative 1. What's 5 times 0? 0. And 0 plus 8. That's 8. Is 8 greater than 13? No, it isn't. Wait a minute, what did I do wrong? I picked a number that was greater than negative 1. 0 is greater than negative 1. If I go on my chart, I would normally do what I did before in the other video, but there's something about that negative that affected my answer. It started off negative, and it ended up positive, the coefficient, and the number on the right side started off positive and ended up negative. Well, I want to let you know, when you are dealing with comparison symbols that are less than, greater than, or equal to, or less than or equal to, there's a new rule you have to follow. You have to reverse the symbol. So now we're going to change the symbol, and let's make that in red. Let's make that in red so we can see that better. So that way you'll get the correct answer. So let's take a look if we pick some of those other answers that are less than -1. Well, what numbers are less than -1? Well, the numbers going this way will be less than -1. So let's pick some of them. Let's pick, say, -5. That's less than that. What's -5 times -5? Oh, positive 25, because 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 8. Oh, that's getting to be a big number. That's 33. And 33 is definitely greater than 13. So I know -5 will work. So if I pick numbers going this way, it will work. So I notice I have to readjust my symbol when I divide by a negative in order to get the correct answer. And if you remember from the video, there is no line underneath the comparison symbol, so I use the open circle. And now instead of going to the right like it started, I have to go to the left because I had to reverse the symbol. So my answer on my graph is going to be going in the opposite direction. So it's going to be numbers that are less than -1 will answer this problem. So now I want you to take a look at these steps for when we're dealing with the comparison symbols. So our steps: solve the expression for the variable and graph, of course. When you're graphing, remember, use open circle for less than or greater than, colored in circle for less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And remember, I say if there's no line underneath your comparison symbol, no color. If there is a line, you have color. Here's a special note you should note. Remember, when dividing or multiplying by a negative number, you got to reverse the comparison symbol. So that way you end up with the correct value when you check it. So here's a problem for you to solve for t. -5 over -5t less than or equal to -10. I'm sorry, to 10. So take a second. Okay. You would divide both sides by -5. So if you divide it by -5, you're doing so far so good. You remember the other video because you want the -5s to cancel out. And we're treating it just like we would treat a regular equation. But remember one thing. We now have this symbol here that we have to reverse because we divided by this negative. So when you divide by a negative, you have to reverse the symbol. Why is that? It's because when you started off with a -5t, you ended up with a positive 5t. When you started off with a positive 10, you ended up with its opposite. So t greater than or equal to -2 would be our answer. So if you got that, you did a great job. So here's a great question. This one: which graph shows us a solution of -2x minus 5 less than or equal to -13? So first you got to solve it, and then you got to pick which one is the graph. So that'll give you practice in graphing as well as solving. So see which one you can get. Try it on your own. Remember, when multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you must reverse the comparison symbol. So here we have example negative 5w greater than 5. If we divide both sides by negative 5, the negative 5's cancel out over here on the left, and 5 divided by negative 5 is negative 1. But remember, we don't use the greater than symbol, we reverse it, and we have w less than negative 1. So reverse that symbol when you divide or multiply by a negative number. Check for your understanding. If you have questions, write them down. If you need to watch the video again, please do. I hope you got something out of this video. Again, the other video on inequalities, if you're having problems solving the two-step inequalities, take a second look at it. So enjoy your day. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.